Nah. No way, come on. No. Today we are talking about an idea that was brought up in a Bleacher Report article from earlier last week. Let's take a look at this piece published on September 22nd by Lyle Richardson. So not even last week, 2 weeks ago, beyond that. Lyle Richardson, of course, is the Spectres hockey guy. He also does stuff for Bleacher Report, and he wrote this article the other day talking about the top trades and landing spots for Lightning captain Steven Stamkos. Now, you don't need the context here to know what's going on. Steven Stamkos wanted an extension with the Tampa Bay Lightning to kick in 24-25. He didn't get that. In fact, they didn't even have conversations about it. He expressed his frustration. Julien Brisebois responded by saying that they're going to wait until the end of the season to get this done, or to even start it up, I guess. And this entire process has started up a conversation as to whether or not Steven Stamkos is really going to continue his career past this season as a member or as the captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He has been a storied player with this team, drafted first overall over a decade ago, and he's won 2 Stanley Cups and made the finals 3 times with this squad. He's been a very accomplished player with the Lightning. But because there's some uncertainty, because he's going to be 34 at the end of the deal, you could understand why the Tampa Bay Lightning might not want to immediately commit a full 8-year, let's say $7-8 million extension. There are some other nitty-gritty details we can discuss about, but realistically, because there is uncertainty, there is trade discussion. And Lyle Richardson had this piece going over what he feels are the top trade choices should Stamkos get placed on the market and moved. What I wanted to do was scroll all the way down to the very bottom, past the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Bruins, the Avalanche, and a few others, and talk about the last team on the list, the Vegas Golden Knights. This idea seems like blasphemy, and it's one that I feel sort of physical pain when I think about, because when you think about the teams that have firstly used that salary cap circumvention to get players, you got the Mark Stone LTIR situation from a while ago, you got the Nikita Kucherov situation from a few years ago. Vegas and Tampa are 1 and 2 when it comes to being able to exploit this for their own benefit. Maybe 2 and 1. I'd say Tampa has done this a little bit more. Also helps that their salaries are a lot better, I feel, just comparative to the rest of the league as well. But the idea of Stamkos going to Vegas, before we even read what it is that Richardson writes in this piece, would just conform so elegantly to the standard that we set for this Vegas team. How, for some reason, they always seem to end up getting the guys that are on the trade market, the big names, the big fishes. They always seem to come to Vegas. Pietrangelo, Eichel, Stone, Pacioretty. For some reason, this team is always the one who gets them, and then they throw them off to the side, trading them away before they're even notified, and letting the players know via Twitter that they got sent to Chicago in exchange for a guy that the Golden Knights would not even use and end up just leaving off of their roster for the rest of time. Like, Marc-Andre Fleury was one example. There were so many examples of players and the turnover in Vegas being so potent, but now you have a Stanley Cup winning team. You've got great players. Of course, Pacioretty is not there anymore, but you did have some very notable names still on this team. And if Steven Stamkos is the guy to come in and make things even better, then I am going to shoot myself. Let's take a look at what exactly it is that this article goes out there and says. The Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup within 6 seasons of their inaugural campaign, in part by landing big-name talent via trades and free agency. Yeah, okay, that's exactly what I said. It's not far-fetched to assume the Golden Knights GM Kelly McCrimmon would look into the cost of adding Stamkos as they attempt to defend their title. He could slot in on Eichel's left side on their top line, or with right-winger Stone on the second line. The Golden Knights have dealt with limited salary cap space in recent years. They've found creative ways to manage it and could do so again in order to add someone like Stamkos even as a playoff rental. With $16 million in projected cap space and 16 players under contract next season, they could even attempt to sign him to an extension. Now, at the time of recording this audio, the Golden Knights have minus $4 million in cap space, so a lot has changed. since this article was written. Oh, it says they have 16 million next year. Excuse me. Okay, I am kind of dumb. Okay, my bad. Coming up with a suitable trade package would be challenging. They're already sitting over this season's cap because they've got goaltender Robin Lehner on LTIR. Even so, they only have $850,000 in remaining LTIR space and no projected accrued cap space for the trade deadline. The Lightning would have to retain part of Stamkos' cap hit. As for the return, perhaps the Golden Knights could interest the Lightning in 29-year-old second-line center Chandler Stephenson, who's slated to becoming a UFA next summer. A 2024 first-round pick would also be a part of the deal, along with top prospect David Edstrom. Now, this is the idea proposed in Bleacher Report. Chandler Stephenson, a first and top prospect David Edstrom for Stamkos. Does this idea not sound so familiar to what we're always hearing about what these big-name guys could demand on the trade market? Oh, it's got to be a first, a quality roster player, and a top prospect. It's a first, a prospect, and a player. It's always that. And this package does fit the bill. Now, Chandler Stephenson is a guy that if you wanted to say he could be the Stamkos replacement, quote-unquote, I'm not going to say that Stephenson is going to get 60 goals and 100 points in an NHL season, but last year the guy did have 65 points in 81 games, back-to-back 60-plus point campaigns. Now, he was signed to an AAV of $2.75 million ever since 2020-2021, and he's at 29 years old, so he is younger than Stamkos, he produces less, but if you extend Chandler Stephenson, I mean, if he gets something in the $6.5 to $7 million range, I think he's very happy with that. You could even debate that's a bit of an overpay for what he is. So for a Vegas Golden Knights team that needs to re-sign Stephenson, why not go out there and try to upgrade your Stephenson to a Stamkos, re-sign Stamkos instead, give him a bigger payday, and say, hey, you are a league-defining superstar. We want you on our team to play with Jack Eichel, and Chandler Stephenson, a first, and a prospect David Edstrom can go over to Tampa in return. For Tampa, this actually would make their cap savings problem quite easier because, as we had said, Stephenson's going to be cheaper than Stamkos, and he's younger, so there's a lot more projectability there. If this is a guy that gets sent over to Tampa, plus the first, plus the prospect, then I feel like it's honestly not that bad of a move. But of course, just the intrinsic reaction to hearing the idea of Stamkos going over to the Golden Knights is enough to make my skin crawl. Imagine this Golden Knights team adding literally every big-name trade target over the past few years not named Chychrun or Dubois. Everybody else, they got them all. And they're collecting them like Pokemon cards here. If Steven Stamkos becomes next on that list, then I don't know what to think. As a fan of a team in the Pacific Division, I feel like this would be absolute tragedy, but, of course, I am always here to listen to a juicy trade rumor idea. Now, as for the prospect, I guess we can go over this too. David Edstrom, going over from Vegas to the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was taken 32nd overall last year in the draft, or 2023, excuse me, with the final pick in the first round because the Golden Knights won the Cup. 18 years old, big center, 6'3", 190, playing for Frölunda in the SHL. He's got 5 points in 8 games at the time of recording this audio, which is absolutely fantastic. If this guy's able to actually produce more as his career goes on in this league, you have an NHL player here. Like, that point production rate at 18 years old is so good, it's only really matched by very few over the past few years in SHL history. I mean, if you go over to the SHL in its entirety, and you sort in the past 20 years by U19 points per game, you'll see that David Edstrom in his current projection, it's very small sample size, I get it, but it is indeed there. Alongside of guys like Kevin Fiala and Elias Lindholm, if Edstrom becomes that good, then who knows what you're getting in this prospect. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this idea of Steven Stamkos heading over to the Vegas Golden Knights for Chandler Stephenson, a first, and David Edstrom? Do you think this is plausible? Do you think this is possible? Would you like to see this happen if you're a fan of these teams? Why would you or would you not? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.